What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this is a better late than never episode of the Bry-Fy podcast. I don't know, I can't decide when I want to put these episodes out. Really, they just come out whenever I can get them out, but I need to have more of a actual date for you people. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about the inconsistency. Whenever everyone I know this, everyone knows this, consistency is the key to a good podcast. Well, spoiler alert, this is not a good podcast. It's great. Anyway, so yeah, this week I actually read a comic book, so the Bry-Fy Your Comics Guy part actually makes sense this week. So I'm excited for that. We're going to be talking about Groot, issue number 1, and what's kind of special about that, and my thoughts and everything on that. And we got some nifty nerd news for you guys this week. So, you know what? Let's just stop dicking around. Let's get into the nifty nerd news. Alright guys, up first in the nifty nerd news, Star Wars stuff. Hayden Christensen, who famously plays Anakin Skywalker, young, not super young, but teenage Anakin Skywalker, and then an older Anakin / Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan series. He has been stated saying in the interview that he wants to explore a Star Wars What If series, or he wants Star Wars to have what if shows or things like that, like Marvel did. Marvel had their What If series where each episode was a different spin or a take on characters or events. What if those would have happened differently? And he wants to do one where Anakin Skywalker doesn't fall to the dark side, which I think would be kind of interesting, because what issues does that bring? What different, how does that play out differently with Obi-Wan, with the Emperor? In that scene when Samuel L. Jackson's character is taking on the Emperor and the Emperor's doing the lightning thing and stuff like that. What if Hayden doesn't step in, or even then? So does he still turn evil at that point? Does he resent the Jedi? Because there's a lot still building up to that point that he's not happy with. And that was only just the last straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And and I think that would be a fun series to explain. What if it was Obi-Wan and Padme who had a relationship? What if Qui-Gon didn't die, and so Qui-Gon was the one actually training Anakin and things like that? How cool would those types of stories be, and how interesting could those stories take a spin? And they're just what if, so they don't have to actually change anything. They can just be fun. You can go crazy with it. What if C3PO was a Jedi, or couldn't speak 3,000 languages? Anakin could only program 2. So how useless would he be and stuff like that? What if Luke Skywalker got R5 instead of R2? What if R5 was the robot that everyone loved and not R2-D2? So, those are the kind of things that spin around in my head. And I don't know of any other ones. I mean, I'm sure I could sit here and think of just tens and hundreds, and there's just so many things that you could just think of that, what if those happened differently? What if they didn't save Princess Leia and they themselves got trapped? What happens to the Resistance? What happens if the Separatists won and the Emperor wasn't able to political his way up to become the Emperor? What if the Jedi didn't even have to do anything about it? What if democracy succeeded? That was kind of thing. What if George Lucas didn't fuck with all the movies? But yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting concept, and I think it's something Star Wars could benefit from, and Star Wars should do. I mean, they're doing great things. Don't get me wrong. I love the Disney Plus shows. But this is a chance to revisit old stories and retell them in a different way and have fun with them. Let them be silly, let them be stupid, let them be meaningful if you want, but there's nothing against the canon for doing it, because it's a what if story. And I think that's fun, Marvel does a great job with it. I think Star Wars could do the exact same. Other things that I wanted to talk about in the nifty nerd news: Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is out, and it is absolutely demolishing in theaters. It is, I mean, in a good way. It is demolishing theaters. People are packed in to see it. It's making all the money. Everything that I've heard about it is that it is fan-fucking-tastic and better than the first one. And I really loved Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I really like the cast. I love the characters. I love their attitudes and the voice acting. Like, all of it's the artwork is fantastic. And so I'm really excited to see where they go with Across the Spider-Verse. I mean, I have an idea of where they go, but who's the real villain? Like, because that I don't know. And I don't believe it's going to be Spider-Man 2099. I know he's kind of like bad cop in a way, like good cop, bad cop. But I feel like he's not the actual villain. I don't know. Maybe that's just me thinking crazy, but who knows? But everything that I've seen and heard from this is it's a fantastic movie. In fact, there's a scene in here that that people have talked about where I guess they go through different dimensions, multiverses and stuff. One of them happens to be like Legoland type, so like everyone's kind of like a Lego character. At least that's from what I can grasp from it, because they got the kid who did the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer all in Lego. So basically stop motion Legoed a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse trailer, and they got that kid. I think he's only 14 years old, and he actually did a scene in the movie here. Like, how insane is that, man? Like, he's 14. He's what, a sophomore in high school? So like when he goes off and like when he looks for a job, like he can put on his resume, oh yeah, and I also did a scene for, a movie called Across the Spider-Verse. You might have heard of it. It's grossed hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and I played a part in that movie. Like, to me that's fucking insane. I think it's awesome, man. I'm excited about that. I think the only other Spider-Man news I've heard of, Tom Holland has come out to say that Spider-Man 4 talks have been placed on hold due to the writer's strike. So it's going to be a Spider-Man 4, but I think we all kind of knew that. But I think Tom Holland's going to be a part of it, which is the more exciting part of all this. But currently, it's on hold. But that's understandable, man. Writers want more money. I agree. Everyone should get more money. I want more money. I'm not allowed to strike, but I want more money. Other spider news, and moving on to the next and last topic of the Nifty Nerd News. I did not know this, and I am terrified to find this out, and I must announce it to anyone else listening because you may also be from Texas, so this affects you directly. But between now, the months of May and July, is the Great Texas Tarantula Migration. And yes, I mean tarantulas as in those god-awful, terrifying spiders. Look, I get some people like spiders, some people like tarantulas. That's all fine. That's all hunky-dory. You are allowed to like whatever you're allowed to like. Me, I'm absolutely terrified of them. There's a picture of one on the website that I'm looking at, and I am trying not to vomit. But yeah, so Texas brown tarantulas, which coincidentally are the largest and heaviest spiders in the state of Texas, they are beginning their great migration. I think they try to go all the way up to Colorado, and it's all for mating. But they're big thing to point out. If you're in central to northern Texas, like basically from like San Antonio and then just north of San Antonio and west of San Antonio, that whole space, shade that in, you're going to be seeing a shit ton of tarantulas in the next coming months. You guys probably already know about this. I thankfully live in like the Gulf Coast, so I'm like along the seawater. We don't get these terrifying tarantulas, man. Like, okay, look, we don't get the Texas brown tarantula in my neck of the woods here, or my coastal plains here. But Central Texas and north and west of that, you guys are covered, man. And I'm talking like areas like the Rio Grande Valley, the prairies and the lake regions, the piney woods, hill country, uh, west of the Trans-Pecos and the Chihuahuan Desert. What is that big park out there? Big Bend Ranch State Park. Uh, just littered with them. Sorry, I hit my microphone because I'm that scared. But I didn't even know this was a thing, guys. Like, I've lived on this planet for 35 years. Sorry, I forgot my age for a moment. Well, I'm turning 35 this year. But so yeah, I've lived on this planet for 35 years over, let's see, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. 5 decades. I have lived in 5 different decades, and I've never seen just wild tarantulas around the state. Like, every tarantula that I've ever seen is either at a zoo or like some crazy friend on Facebook posts. They're not crazy, but I think they're crazy for owning tarantulas because, my God, huge, terrifying. Like, I have to look under my desk while I'm recording this because I'm giving myself the heebie-jeebies and I'm scared one's just going to grab me because, tarantulas. But yeah, so I didn't know this. It's kind of neat, though, like something that I was never even aware of. And I've been in Austin during the summer, like I've been right there in Central Texas where they should have been around me. But, I stick mostly to the cities, and it's not like they're crawling all over the cities and stuff. And I guess, mostly they're nocturnal, so they're only out and about, like moving around mostly during the night. But a little interesting fact I found out about this. So, mostly males who stay in their burrows and kind of, stay around there until they reach maturity where they can start mating. Then they go off. What I found out, though, is after they mate, they die shortly after. The males do. Females live 20 to 25 years. Ugh. This is terrifying. But also kind of fascinating, man. They lay like hundreds to thousands of eggs a year, I believe it is. And just... So yeah, that's the nifty nerd news, guys. If you enjoyed that or were equally as terrified about tarantulas as I was, please let me know, man. And if you have different nerd news that you come across, sorry, I got distracted by something, hit me up. Let me know on social media. Let me know on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. What else? I think I'm on not Tinder, Tumblr. And TikTok. Everything's at Bry-Fy Podcast. You can reach me. I'm even on Xbox Live, guys, at Bry-Fy Pod. You can follow me over there. And you can also follow me and watch and reply to me over on Twitch. Everything over there is twitch.tv/the Bry-Fy. But that's it for the Nifty Nerd News, guys. Let's get into the comic book that we wanted to review for this week. All right, guys, so this week we are talking about Groot, issue number 1. It's published this year, May 3rd, 2023. Writer is Dan Abnett, and art is by Damian Cosario and Matt Melia. And what is very interesting about this is this was not only printed physically, but also put on Marvel Unlimited, my comic streaming service, at the same time. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Oop, my little pop filter fell. That they're coming out at the same time with this. I don't know if it's just like a first issue thing or what. But it definitely has me interested. Okay, what the hell happened here, guys? My pop filter not doing what I want it to do. So we're just going to hold it until I can finish recording the episode. Sorry about that. So anyway, just a little rundown of this. It's a Groot origin story. It takes place when he's just, tiny little tree sap, just a little bitty baby, just a little baby. And he also has friends, which is kind of cool. So this is on his home planet, just only known as Planet X. It's Groot and his friends Gleef and Tweeg, and everyone can only say their names. Like, I am Groot, I am Gleef, I am Tweeg. So kind of cool, kind of funny, kind of just nifty. Just a little insight into the world of Groot here. But of course, things can't always be happy and good. Something terrible has to befall the planet, and we'll get back to that because now we got to do a 6-month time jump because we got more important story to tell at the moment. Screw Groot's homeworld and his home planet. So now we're above the planet Thentalis, and it is a burning wasteland of a planet, which, believe it or not, it's not normally what its weather is forecasted as. Normally, it's a pretty planet. A pretty planet. It's a nice planet. In its orbit, though, we see a Starfleet command ship crewed by Captain Solar, Lieutenant Dara, and a young private Marvel. Spoilers, he later becomes Captain Marvel. Anywho, they believe this world to be, or this destruction of this world to be the work of a guy. Either he's got an acronym name, AGZ, or his name is AGZ. And he's the leader of a group called the Spoilers. Not like spoiler alert, but they're actually called the Spoilers. I guess because they spoil things, or they're the victors and they get the spoils. Ha! Maybe that's like what it really is. Anyway, so Marvel's detected survivors on the planet, and they go down to investigate, but lo and behold, it's not the kind of survivors you want to fight or find. It's the kind that are going to fight. They're chainsaws, and they are exactly what you think. That, like, what if Black & Decker created dinosaurs out of chainsaws? Like, that's exactly what these things are. They look badass, and they are terrifying. So things go haywire quickly for the trio, and some inspired or impulsive thinking by Marvel gets them out of the jam. But so later, while they're searching the remains of the planet for, less than lethal life forms, Marvel ends up finding a cargo box that the Spoilers left behind. And in his investigation, he gets ambushed by the one, the only, I am Groot. So more chainsaws show up while Marvel's trying to recover from Groot's surprise attack. Marvel just yeets them out of the way, literally just picks them up, chunks them out of the box, which kind of makes me wonder why they didn't do that in the first place. Like, they were fighting them and acting like it was a big issue, and then Marvel all of a sudden he just grows a pair and starts yeeting things left and right. But I guess, whatever. We got a story to tell, and we got plot, so we got to move forward with this. Anyway, so now Groot trusts Marvel due to, being saved, as any Disney princess would. And Marvel and Solar are now tasked with returning Groot and company back to their homeworld of Planet X. We get a cute little montage of Groot and Marvel trying to build... Marvel trying to build, a communication bridge between each other, because Groot can only say, I am Groot, and Marvel is only capable of, like, limited man thought because he's dumb man. And it goes about as well as you can imagine. They eventually arrive on Planet X, which has some damage to it, but hasn't been totally, like, burned to a crisp, hasn't been totally razed. So that, kind of leads to some questions like, why is it that way? Why was this planet mostly spared as compared to other planets, and who exactly is tracking them in the woods right now? So that's kind of the first issue of this story of Groot. Like I said, the artwork is fantastic in this comic book. The big standouts being the chainsaws. They just look fantastic. I love their design, and they look dangerous. They look crazy, but still workable. Like, they look very in this world, which is kind of crazy. The action is exciting throughout the comic book. It's easy to follow from panel to panel. Like, it doesn't get too screwy. There's some comics out there where, like, the action between panels is so intense and the artwork gets very liberal with it, and it's, like, extremely hard to follow. But in Groot, everything's really great. Everything's really easy to follow, which I love. Love the character designs of Groot and his friends. They're similar, but yet have very distinct features to themselves, and they got a different feeling between them. Like you can tell they have different attitudes based on the artwork because they don't do a lot of talking. So I really like that about it. The colors really get to shine in here, especially when we're in like greenery, like Planet X and things. I love the way the colors pop and how they differ. We don't get much of it though, because we're mostly things are on fire or we're in a spaceship. So kind of sad I didn't get to see more of the colors shine like that. Story's a fun time. I think my only knock on this book, my only gripe against this book is that it still feels more like a Marvel story than it does a Groot story. But I mean, how much can Groot really carry the story when all he can say is I am Groot? So maybe you need Marvel there to be the voice of the characters and help push dialogue along. I don't know. We'll see. There. I mean, you could do stuff with narration or things. Maybe Marvel will only be here for a short while. Maybe he's only in a few issues. Maybe he's only in one issue. Maybe it's going to be like a team up every issue where Groot interacts with different characters of the Marvel universe. I don't know. That would be kind of fun and interesting and kind of like a fun Groot team up. But I'm curious. I'm curious how this is going to play out. I'm curious if how much Groot is going to be the main character and not just kind of like a jokey sidekick or like the comic relief. Like how much can we really get out of this? One of my favorite books talking about this and talking about these characters was Rocket Raccoon by Scotty Young. This was quite a few years back, probably 2016, 2015. I don't know. I have to look it up. But it's a very touching story. It was a really good story. And things got very serious. And I got very sad by the end of that story. So maybe they can do the same thing with Groot. Will it join the Hallowed Halls of the Bry-Fy podcast as one of my favorite interesting character stories? I don't know. We'll have to see, because there's some good ones in my comic book shelf that are very, very touching and very, very strong books. Rocket Raccoon being one of them, and Chip Zdarsky's Howard the Duck run was a very good one as well. So that's going to be tough to beat. Really though, I enjoyed this issue. Going to be added to my follow list. Like you can have like a follow list on Marvel Unlimited, which I like. It's kind of like having a pull list with your local comic book shop. And if you don't know what a pull list is, that's basically like a box that you keep where they pull the comics you want and put them in your box. So that way, when you do come to the store, all your comics are there. That way you don't have to get there on new comic book day and beat the crowd or anything like that. They already set aside the stuff. Also, what's great about pull lists for local comic book shops is that's guaranteed comics. Like people, it's supposed to be guaranteed. Some people don't pick up their pull boxes, which sucks, but, that helps your comic book shop know it's got guaranteed income from week to week or month to month, however many books and stuff you're reading. And it helps them out, So if you have a local comic book shop in your area, or one that you can visit at least like once a month or something like that, get a pull box, a pull list, a box there, because that helps them and it'll help you get to read and collect some cool comics, man. And sometimes they give you discounts or they throw some cool shit your way, or like even new suggestions that you don't have to buy, but they just want to, hey, you read this and this, maybe you would like this story. So definitely something cool to check out and something to look into. Anyway, that's it for the Bry-Fy podcast this week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will try to find some form of consistency with the podcast going forward. I know it's weird, guys, and I'm working on it. The only other thing that I got for y'all, head over to YouTube, man. YouTube.com/ or I don't know, just look up the Bry-Fy podcast on YouTube. You should be able to find me posting new videos. I just got a new gaming video up there of me playing the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's a highlight video, so it's all cut together and there's jokes and shit through it. So check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and we will see you guys next week. Bry-Fy out.